Hey, welcome to Bikes, Boats, and Bivouacs. It's getting cold up here in the north, so we're going to go south to the BBB Southern correspondent, Mr. Keith, and watch how he switches his camper from a lead-acid battery to lithium. Hi, Southern correspondent for BBB here. I'm down in sunny Florida. Just got back from a trip up to see Scott in the north, which was overcast and probably 40s and drizzly, so I'm kind of happy to be home. And since the weather's pretty nice, I'm gonna do sort of my first upgrade to the Forest River Gray Wolf that we have, and that is to replace out the factory lead acid battery with a new lithium ion battery. So there's a bunch of things that you need to check regardless of your camper before you go ahead and try and do this. Lithium ion batteries, particularly if you have a solar charging system, need to be charged differently at different voltages with sort of different controls for charging. And it turns out that my camper, which is relatively new, has all of that equipment built into it, so I didn't need to change things out. But we'll go sort of take a look around the camper and look at the things to check, and then we'll go ahead and put the new battery in. And I'll talk a little about why I'm doing this along the way as well. When you receive the batteries, they're going to ship with only like 30 to 60% charge, so you do have to put them on a charger. I have a smart charger, really a car battery smart charger that also handles lithium batteries. So at about 15 amps, these are 300 amp hour batteries, like I mentioned before. So they ran pretty much all night. To charge the first one. I actually have two because I'm also putting one in my boat, and that'll be a different video. But you end up needing to throw it on the charger, and it'll continue to charge. Typically, you know, mine's a 15 amp charger, so this ran for probably 10 or 12 hours yesterday to charge up the first battery, and now I'm charging up the second battery. That LI that you see flashing in the display there indicates that I've set it on lithium charging mode rather than lead acid charging mode. And so yeah, one of the first things after you unpack the battery is to get it set up on the charger, just so you're not fighting getting the thing charged. Although with the 100-watt solar panel and no load inside the camper, it will charge using just the sun, provided you don't live in like the gray, dismal north during the winter. I know a lot of people put these batteries inside the pass-through space, but I am going to mount mine outside. We're in Florida. I don't believe it'll get either too cold or too hot for the battery's temperature range, and they are pretty robust from a temperature range perspective. So this next page in the battery manual, and these numbers are pretty typical kind of regardless of which lithium iron phosphate battery you buy, although it's worth taking a look to see. Like one of the other big ones I have for the house is a 14.4 volt flow charge, and this one is telling me ideally we would be charging at 14.6 volts plus or minus 0.2 volts, right? So my 14.4 is fine. And from that table on the back, or the graph on the back, even if I was slightly less, like right around 14.4, you can see that the only amount of charge is probably, you get to 99% instead of 100%. So not worried about that at all. Okay, a few other things about these batteries. You're definitely not supposed to mix chemistries. The float voltages for lead acid batteries versus lithium ion batteries are different. And so you can't just parallel them up like you might. You can parallel up the same batteries. So I could drop two 300 amp hour batteries on this if I really wanted to do a little fixturing and bracketing on the front and have like 600 amp hours of power, but I don't believe I'll need it. I don't want the extra weight, and so we are just using a single like 12 volt battery instead of grabbing up a couple and hooking them together in parallel. Obviously, if you series them together, you end up with a much higher voltage going into your camper, versus parallel, where you just end up with more storage capacity at the same voltage. Mine's a 2025 Grey Wolf, and it essentially came fully equipped with all the things that are capable of connecting to and maintaining lithium iron phosphate batteries, in addition to lead acid or AGM or any of the other technologies. So hopefully your camper is equipped the same, but if not, lots of different parts are available to go do this. It's just a little bit more work to swap out which controllers, particularly solar panel controllers, and then maybe even the load center, depending on whether it's capable or not. So I did download the manual for the power distribution center in the camper, and I screen captured and highlighted, which we can sort of post in the video, how the auto detect feature works. So my load distribution center, in order to charge the battery from shore power, automatically detects the right battery voltage and charging type, and then we'll just do it automatically without being switched. So if you see, I have the battery on and the voltage down there is sitting at 12.3, and I would expect that float voltage coming out of the lithium iron phosphate battery to be higher than that. Fully charged, probably around, what, 13.1 or so for a lead acid battery, and fully charged here will probably be over 13.6, maybe as high as 14 or so if it's fully float charged. Okay, so I'm starting to get ready to swap this battery out. So the first thing I'm going to do is come in here and actually fully disconnect the battery. You can see that voltage from 12.3. I was actually running the fridge, so I shut the fridge off, and you'll see the voltage climb a little bit. But anyhow, we're going to disconnect the battery, and then we're going to go out to the front and start working on removing the battery and then putting the new one in. All right, so this is the battery box sitting in the front of the RV, and we're gonna first undo that strap and get the lid off, and then look at what the cabling looks like. It looks like there's a single ground coming off of it, but two power lines. So we'll take a look. Okay, so we have the cover removed, and you can see the two positive lines and single negative line. One of the positive lines is the main feed into the camper, and the other would be the solar charging piece, or the charging piece that comes both from the solar charger or shore power. I just need to pop this battery out and then put in the new one, but it's an 88 amp hour battery, so I'm going from an 88 amp hour battery to a 300 amp hour battery. So I've removed both cables. Keep in mind that there is essentially live power coming backwards if you have a solar charger. So I was very cautious. The cables are hanging down there. And it doesn't matter if the two red ones touch, but I just wanted them sort of clear and away. So I'm gonna lift this battery out, and then I'm gonna drop the new one in. Well, technically I'm going to do that after I remove the lizard from the battery box, who was apparently hanging out here for a camping trip. All right, so problem one is that the handles on the new battery are wider than my battery box, and I'm sure the normal solution is to probably just go get a slightly bigger battery box, but I'm actually just going to modify mine with a little bit of a cut at each of these handles to let the battery slide down there. It won't have any other impact since the cover is much wider than the top of the battery. So I've basically taken tin snips and just cut two diagonal lines, and now I'm going to use my vibration tool, whatever they call these things, plunge cutter, and zip off right across the line. So now I have the space for the handles. Okay, so with that done, I'm gonna drop the battery in for a second time and hopefully it all sits down. Okay, so the new battery is attached. They provide washers with, at least the battery I bought, but with most of them, that you can use if you need space. Because I have two lugs on the positive, I didn't need the washer, but I did need one of the washers to make sure there was good connection to the ground wire, because there's only a single lug coming out. And now that this is attached, we're going to go grab the manual for the solar charger and kick the solar charger into lithium iron phosphate mode. Alright, and so there's the battery box with the lid reattached. Despite my efforts to kind of carve this one out, I'm a little worried about some water leakage, so it's likely I'll go find a slightly bigger Group 31 battery box. So I'll probably look for one at an RV supply place or on Amazon and then swap the box out. But other than that, it appears that everything is set up and working. Okay, so with the new battery hooked up, like I was talking about in the earlier part of the video, you can see that the voltage is, well above 13 volts, which is a good sign. But everything does seem to be working correctly. And so I'll go out and we'll talk a little about setting the solar charge controller up. I have a 200 watt panel on top of this, and so the driven manual is the solar charge controller that is in the pass-through in the front. And the important thing about this is to understand how to switch between lead acid and lithium iron phosphate, which is the type of battery that I used, or really any other battery that you might put in. And so if we flip through this, you can see what we're really after. I'm after two things. One is to figure out how to use the menu to change the battery type, and the other is to understand what the control panels are, or control parameters are, for the lithium batteries. And so you can see there's two default settings. There's actually, I believe, a third setting that lets you customize all of this. Okay, so hopefully you can see me clicking through these things. The first thing about this driven solar charge controller is that generally speaking, when you quick press any of the buttons, you just rotate through the different sort of information panels, and we can whip all the way through it. And then if you push the back button, it'll go all the way to the sort of very beginning. So this is like the default home screen for it. So in my case, based on what we talked about with respect to the manual, what I needed to do is keep pushing the plus button until you see that 4.3.2, but you wouldn't see that if you're switching from a lead acid battery. If I push and hold this button, it'll start flashing. And then quick pushes on either of these move to the different battery chemistries. So yours probably will start out saying sealed or gel or user 1. And you can keep rotating through until you get to the right lithium ion setting, which in my case is this 4.3.2. If I kept going, it would be the 5.3.2 like we talked about. And then, so we're gonna go back to this 4.3.2 and then just long press the plus button and it will set it. And that's kind of all you need to do. I did play, there's a setting before this that is the voltage of the battery. You can shift that into auto or 12 volts or 24 volts if you have a 24 volt system. I shifted it into auto just to check, but then I put it back to the factory setting of 12. And it works the same way. You long hold the plus button and it'll start flashing, and you can go between auto 12 and 24 using minus and plus. And so that's really it. Once that's set, we can kind of go through, and you can see that right now the charging voltage is where I need it to be. It's at that 14.4 volts instead of 13 or whatever. And you can see kind of all the different safety shut-off settings as well. And then we'll just keep on going back to this home screen where I can see what the voltage is. You can also see the charge current. So even though I ran this on the charger overnight and my bigger battery charger said it's full, it's still pushing about 1.5 amps in from the solar panel to get it all the way up. So I would expect when this is fully solar charged, it's sitting at a float voltage of 4.2 or 4.4 volts. Some of them can sit higher than that. They can even sit at 4.6, but we'll see where this one ends up. Well, I hope that helped you out, particularly if you're looking to switch out of an older lead acid battery to a newer lithium iron phosphate battery. If it did, please click the like button. It helps my brother and I out. And hope to see you soon camping. And remember, have fun out there. Hey Hazel, now that we have a new battery, do you want to go camping?